fun tonight. Good to see you all. Thanks for coming.
Looks like a rock and roll show to me, motherfucker. Now, how many kiss hands we got here tonight? Oh, this motherfucker right here. I got drunk with that bastard a couple times. Anyway, you guys familiar with a now called Carnival of Souls? Well, then you'll know this next tune. Hit it, Brad! it Bruce? Are they saying? Are you guys saying Bruce or Boo? Bruce. Thank you.
Bruce. Go home now. Okay.
For a minute, I was getting ready to pack up the truck and get the fuck out of here. Anyway, James, are you okay now, buddy?
Maybe more.
How many of you guys got the Union album? All right, well, we kind of get emails and some letters and shit from you people, and everybody goes, you know what, dude, man, this should be the song you guys should have fucking released, or you guys should release this tune right here, so we're going to play it for you. So what? I don't know what you're saying, but this is called Love, I Don't Need It Anymore.
Everybody remember that band that John was in called The Scream?
I Actually, I played here a very, very long time ago. And you guys might remember this tune. Check it out. If you do remember it, don't be afraid to sing it, motherfucker. Guess it's time the sun shines through the dawn. Another night is gone. Seems like days since you saw her face. In her place, no trace of yesterday. Yeah, that's okay. She never come back to me too soon.
don't walk alone. Go ahead, man.
There's always one in every crowd, motherfucker. You know what? This guy gets me in so much trouble every time I fucking see him. Every fucking time. No, I gotta tell you. The last time, I went out with him and a bunch of people in Indiana. Right? Nashville? Or Indiana? So I know, well, let me explain this. Anyway, just give me a minute. Anyway, the first time I went out in Indiana, I was drunk, and these guys totally took advantage of me. We went to a strip bar, and they told the girls that it was my birthday. Next thing I remember, I'm naked on stage getting spanked for my birthday. Then the next time I go out with them, I go to a sports bar, and again, I'm so fucked up, it's ridiculous, all right? And they hand deliver the cocktail waitress to my room. Now it gets even better. I was so fucked up, she took all her clothes off, jumped into bed with me, and I fell asleep. Thank you, buddy. Anyway, this is a song by one of our favorite bands. Check it out. your nose and you just can't see it. Check it out. Road is calling, waiting for the setting sun. Everybody's running, everybody's hoping we're gonna get it right. 'Cause everybody wants it, everybody's hoping now. Just need to everybody's hungry, everybody's trying to go. So even though nowhere, everybody's holding on. We're falling. get started with the next song, I want to thank every one of you motherfuckers for coming down here and spending your hard-earned cash to party with us tonight. We fucking love you for that. Tell a friend, and well, everybody but you. I'm just kidding, man. Take it easy. Don't get your nipples in a twist. Yeah, who said that? I'm in room, I'm just kidding. Anyway, Bruce, you want to play some guitar?
Yeah, I just got to dedicate this to Pat out there with the Cans.
Yes.
You know that team?
Yes. Great baseball team, man. We had a good time.
We had a
You guys played with the team? It was fucking awesome.
Yeah,
And they won.
The team, right?
They won. Yeah, there you go.
What'd you win, like 30-3 or something?
They just fucking walloped the other team. They didn't beat, they pulverized, they mashed, crushed, destroyed. Can I think of anything else?
They had a Kiss night there, and I got to play the Star Spangled Banner, so here we go.
more, huh? Before we get started with this next tune, I know there's some of you out there who aren't aware of who we are. Just want to let you know we're called Union. And on guitar and vocals over here, I know who you know who this guy is. Formerly of Kiss, Mr. Bruce Kulick. On bass and drums. I mean bass and drums. Drums and vocals. I didn't even start yet. Look, you're holding up a fucking beer, I lose my mind. Give me. Son of a bitch, he's teasing me. Here's the honor. Jump on her and stay on her. On drums and vocals, Mr. Brent Fitz. On bass and vocals, and hopefully some obscene Jaxxers a little later on tonight, Mr. Jamie Honte. Now.
What? Who's again?
Say what?
Who's against holiday?
All right, see if you know this tune. guest. Will be special in our book. Jimmy! Get your ass up here. We ain't starting, dude, until you come up. Where's that guy?
We're trying to get a cluster of Architect up here. He's a damn good talker, but he's hiding. I think he left the building. John's gonna give him one.
Okay, so maybe we won't bring somebody up. Sing it with me, okay? Just keep on saying, do your thing. Ooh, she did. Ooh, that's but you got me, and you once again, I want to thank you guys for coming down here. We love you, man. We appreciate it. Put your hands together for this for me, okay?
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Not bad. Whereabouts you calling from, Paul?
I'm in Los Angeles. I'm actually at the press relations people's office, some big corporate office or something, where I'm sitting something that looks like a conference room for declaring war or something like that.
Is the band not on the road at the moment then?
No, we go out October 1st.
October 1st, cool. Canadian tour, is that?
Oh, well, we're definitely hitting Toronto and Montreal.
Any plans for out west yet, or have you got that far?
We haven't gotten that far, but absolutely. I mean, there's no way we would, it makes sense for us to venture through the States, and as we go through the States, we just keep jumping up to wherever we go in Canada. But, there's always places that we love playing, I mean, BC is great, and, there's just too many.
Cool. I got to offer congratulations right off the top on your recent marriage. Can you tell us a little bit about who your wife is and how you guys met?
Oh, she's great. I laugh. She's fabulous. I met her on a blind date, and we've been together every day since we met. So at some point, I just, I realized it doesn't get any better than this, and it was great. I mean, nothing more than that.
How long have you guys known each other?
10 months.
Ah, pretty quick then.
Well, there's a lot of people who date, for like years and date off and on, but we've been, like I said, we've been together every day since we met, and that's a pretty good sign.
Yeah, no doubt. For the purpose of the radio show I'm going to be producing with this interview, Paul, I'm going to ask you some questions about the early days and some of the early albums and stuff before we get into Revenge, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
Okay, you've known Gene since before Kiss, back into Wicked Lester and beyond that. Can you tell us how you guys met and how you decided you were going to work together and put a band together and all that stuff?
Sure. We met at a mutual friend's house named Steve Coronel, who was a guitar player who, I'm trying to think how I came to know. I'm not even sure. But I was over at his house one day, and Gene was over there. And Gene went over to his house because Gene's guitar player had gotten sick, I think, and he was asking Steve to fill in. And Steve introduced the two of us, and I hated him when I met him.
Why was that?
Gene, at that point, didn't realize that there were other people in the world besides him and the Beatles that wrote songs. So he was a bit
obnoxious, maybe?
Yeah, obnoxious. Well, some people still think he is, but he's it was a little too much for me at that point. So I just Steve told him that I wrote songs too, and he said to me, "Oh yeah, well why don't you play one?" And I played one for him, and the song I played him, incidentally, is on the first Kiss album.
Let Me Know, was it?
Yeah. So very good. Did your homework.
Well, I've been a fan since '74, Paul, so you're not going to get much past me.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Well, then you can fill in the blanks. When you ask me a question and I can't answer it, you lead me in the right direction.
Okay, I'll try and help you along.
But so we met, and then Steve said, "Why don't we, I think he said to me afterwards, why don't we get Gene in the band?" And I think, in a nutshell, I said to him, "You can play with him or you can play with me, but you can't play with us." But ultimately, I think once we got past that, I think Gene just had to see that that kind of stuff doesn't work with me. And then we had kind of a real mutual respect, and we got going. I think it was just a matter of clearing the air at first, and I guess he was testing the waters to maybe it was a power game or something. But in this case, I think you can run next to me, but you can't run in front of me.
Yeah, that sounds like a fair shake.
Yeah.
At the beginning, Kiss was into a New York Dolls kind of thing. Did that last long before you guys decided to take it way over the top as you did?
Well, we weren't into New York Dolls thing in the sense that we looked like them. But the whole scene in New York at that point was really pretty cool. It was a much more decadent Liverpool. I guess Liverpool of the 60s meets Berlin of the 30s or something.
That's a pretty twisted vision.
Yeah, it was rock and roll and debauchery, I guess. But in any case, there were a lot of bands playing all over, and there were a lot of dances and parties being thrown because a lot of bands were just rent a ballroom and throw a dance. And we just got into that scene. We weren't a band that was getting hired much to play clubs, so we figured, what the hell, we'll rent the ballroom of some hotel. Like there was one in Times Square called the Hotel Diplomat, which I think their upper clientele were pimps, and then the working girls were beneath that, in terms of the higher echelon. But we would throw dances there and get like 500 people, and that's really how we got going. The Dolls were out at that time. There was a guy named Wayne County who ultimately became Jane County and had a sex change operation.
The thing some people won't do for show business.
Oh, yeah, what a gimmick. Here he is, Mrs. But anyway, there was a lot of good stuff happening, and it was real clear from the beginning that we were never going to outdoll the Dolls, because these guys were like, their waists were the size of my wrist, so for us to dress like them would have been silly. So pretty much from the beginning, we just said, hey, we are not that, and we'll just take it in another direction. And believe me, there were a lot of bands in New York that looked like the Dolls, but there wasn't, for a long time, one that looked like Kiss. And then all of a sudden, they started popping up. I remember seeing, flyers for these bands with white faces and symbols painted on their faces, and none of them made it. But that's really what we came out of, was like the New York, I guess it was called, for lack of a better word, it was the glam scene.
Yeah. Do you remember which songs were on the demo that you were shopping around in the early days? It must have been a real kick for you at that time to have somebody like Eddie Kramer produce them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The demo was Black Diamond, Watching You, Strutter, and Deuce, I'm pretty sure.
You must have had a lot of songs together when you finally went in to get the first album done. Once you had your record contract, stuff that didn't appear until later. Did you basically have a whole pile of stuff ready to go?
Actually, we didn't. We were real particular. It was very funny because you'd run into these bands and say, oh, we got 30 songs, we got 40 songs. And we were pretty much going, we have 12, But those 12 songs you still hear today, So I think one of them got held over till Hotter Than Hell. But outside of that, everything got used on the first album. We weren't one of those bands who had loads of material floating around. We've never been like that. That's why there's not a huge amount of unreleased Kiss songs that are like in the tape warehouses or stuff. Sometimes bands, pull out songs 5 or 10 years later, that didn't make it on an album. Usually those songs are, another word for those songs is rejects, but they never really call them that. We don't have any of those. We only record usually what we use. On Revenge, however, we recorded one extra track, not as an extra, but we weren't sure what we were going to use on the album. And we'll release that at some point. It's a track I wrote with Snake from Skid Row.
What's the song called?
It's called Do You Want to Touch Me Now?
That's going to come out as a B-side or something, perhaps?
Be a B-side, or there's talk, I know in Japan it's probably going to be on the album. They're going to re-release the album at some point again with an extra track on it.
Cool.
But as a rule, there's never been like loads of material floating around we didn't use.
I've got a copy of the first Kiss Last Licks album, and I'm going to be sharing the demo version of Strutter when I put the show together. Can you tell us a little bit about that song?
Strutter was written in a period where Gene and I were pretty much writing the balance of the material that made up the first album. We had a loft in New York, which is another way of saying a room on 23rd Street and 5th Avenue. And we used to rehearse there. The walls were covered with egg crates to try to cut down on the sound. And Gene and I would get together in the afternoon and write songs. And then when the guys would come in the evening, we'd usually have a new song. And during that period, we wrote Strutter, Black Diamond. I wrote Firehouse. Gene did Deuce. So it was a real productive period. And Strutter was one of the songs that got us the deal. And the demo version is the demo version that we did at Electric Lady with Eddie Kramer supervising and Dave Whitman engineering.
That's got an extended guitar solo on it, I think, as opposed to the version that finally showed up on the first album.
Yeah, it's a bit longer. Other than that, it's pretty much identical.
Yeah, pretty close to the same thing.
Yeah.
Must have been really crazy for you in the early days, touring like mad and an unbelievable recording schedule. In fact, weren't your first two albums out inside of a year of each other?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, we were pretty much living as crazy a life as anybody can imagine. I mean, anything that you've heard about rock and roll, it was true. You know, I mean, we were living a crazed life. We were touring. We were sometimes playing 2 weeks in a row, you know, without a day off. Sometimes we would be doing 2 shows in a night, and then all of a sudden it was like, let's go back in the studio and do another album, which is kind of strange, you know, when your first album took you your whole life to write, and all of a sudden they're saying time to do another album. So we got used to working under pressure, and Hotter Than Hell was one of those cases where it was, okay, write the album and let's go in the studio.
Did you lay it down pretty quickly?
I'd say it took about 4 or 5 weeks or so. We were all living in L.A. at the time at a hotel on Sunset Strip called, at that time it was a Ramada, and it's not there anymore. And it was really a great time for us. I'm not sure we were in a hurry to finish the album, but it wasn't, it didn't take that long. But we spent a lot of time sitting out at the pool and partying and listening to Mott the Hoople and, you know, all kinds of old tapes, you know, that we liked.
Yeah, I got to guess, Paul, that you didn't have much say about producers, at least in the early days. I'm thinking of Kenny Kerner and Richie Wise, specifically because I think Kiss and Hotter Than Hell could have been much better than they were sonically anyway. Yeah, well, you know, Kenny and Richie are great guys. The problem was that at that point, the record company, or the president, so to speak, because Neil Bogart was both the record company president and the record company. So he picked Kenny and Richie to do the album. And they had had a couple of hits at that point with a group called Stories doing a song Brother Louie and Gladys Knight and the Pips, some, you know, stuff like that. And Richie Wise had actually been in a metal band called Dust. It was a trio that did a couple of, I think about 3 albums. And by the time we got to the second album, we were really trying to get some crunge on the record, but we at that point didn't know how to do it, and I think in most respects the people we were working with didn't know how either. So it took quite a while before we were making the kind of records that we thought we should. The turning point, of course, was Alive, both for popularity and I think for the sound of the band, produced by Eddie Kramer. What was the thinking in the band at that time? Did you feel a live album was what you needed to put Kiss on the map once and for all? Well, yeah, it was real important for us to do a live album. Nobody else was doing them. I think maybe Frampton. I might have my time frame mixed up, but bands didn't do live albums. And if someone did a live album, it was because they were a huge act. And that's why it was done. We did it because our first 3 albums really didn't sell very well, but we were becoming this big concert draw. And we were thinking, wait a minute, something's wrong here. If all these people are coming to see us, but they're not buying the albums, something's got to be wrong. If they like what they hear when they see us live, but they don't buy the albums, maybe what they want is a live album. And maybe a live album will also be like a souvenir of the show. You know, you'll go home, you'll have a little booklet, and you'll be able to look at photos. So that was really the thinking behind Kiss Alive. Although we never expected it to be the kind of, you know, mega album it turned out to be. It was pretty amazing how that thing got into the stores and went out of the stores about as quickly as it got in. Well, I think it showed something in the energy of the performance, especially of how your first 3 records could have and maybe even should have sounded. I think that's true. I also think that because it wasn't overproduced and because it was very raw, it really showed the heart and the soul of the band. And
what we do, in terms of an audience. It's, we really are a live band, and I think for us, albums at their best are really, really great photos, but there's nothing like seeing it in 3D. So Alive really captured that.
Well, when I first saw Kiss, it was 1974, an old TV show called In Concert. I was actually watching the broadcast to catch Foghat. And you guys came on, and I think you did Nothing to Lose, Firehouse, and Black Diamond.
Right.
Yeah, and whoa, if these guys ever put out records, I'm first in line.
Yeah, it was pretty funny because I have that tape at home, and it's real interesting because I was just talking about it. I think it was probably night before last to a friend of mine who does set designs for television, and I said, when this revolving stage turned around and we were standing there, people's jaws dropped, because we were actually on that show as a favor. Dick Clark put us on as a favor, which was really a great thing because at that point we stood about as much chance of getting on television as we do being elected president. But he was really great, and I guess we never let the audience down. Even when people didn't know who we were, when we went out, we made sure that when you left, you were happy with what you saw.
Well, the reaction was pretty extreme in the early days, wasn't it? People either loved Kiss or hated Kiss.
Yeah, and it's still like that, and that's great. I'm not really interested in people who think we're okay. I mean, if you love us, that's really great, and if you hate us, that's great too. I mean, I'm as proud of my enemies as I am of my fans, and friends. I mean, judge me by both. But we get that kind of reaction. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because we don't pull our punches, and we don't compromise for anybody else, and yet we do exactly what we like, like it or not.
Yeah, well, that's a big key to Kiss's success.
I think so.
I mean, it's almost, 20 years next year, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, next year it's 20 years.
The next big step for Kiss, of course, was Destroyer, taking you guys to another level, both in performance and in your songwriting. Does that album still hold up well for you today?
Oh, that album is really like I guess a landmark, and it's certainly something that we reach for, because it set a standard that has really stood the test of time. When we play songs like Shout It Out Loud or Detroit Rock City or God of Thunder, those are songs that have really stood the test of time. So Destroyer is an album that we really worked our asses off on.
How did Bob Ezrin get involved in that one?
Well, Bob was involved at that point on all the Alice Cooper stuff, the really cool Alice Cooper stuff.
$1 Billion Babies and all that?
All Babies, and before that, Love It to Death, and all those really cool things like 18. And when we finished with Alive, and Alive was this huge success, we wanted to make sure that we didn't go back to what we had been before. And we said we got to make sure that the next album shows that we're not a fluke, and that from the live album it's all downhill.
Yeah, a lot of people are probably waiting for you guys to fall on your asses again.
They still are, but most of them are getting old. But we said, who's somebody who'd really be cool to work with? And it was Ezrin. And we got together and really busted our chops, and Destroyer came out of it.
Of all the albums that the original lineup did, from Kiss right up to Dynasty, a lot of fans, and myself included, feel that the Eddie Kramer-produced studio albums, Rock and Roll Over and Love Gun, represent the band at its peak. Is that close, or is the apex for Kiss Mark I somewhere else for you?
I think, as much as I love Destroyer as an album, and I the songs really hold up great, there are certain things about Rock and Roll Over and Love Gun that really do it for me.
You got a lot of live energy in the studio for those records.
Yeah, to be quite honest, sonically, I don't think those albums really cut it, but I think that energy-wise and honesty, those two albums have a lot of both. I would love to hear them sound a little different, but it's impossible, and that's part of what they are. So I really like those two, and I think you're right, and I think the fans are right. Those are two real special albums.
Of the 4 solo albums that came out in '78, yours and the Aces, I think, were the closest to Kiss's sound. You got to work with some good people like producer Jeff Glicksman, drummer Carmen Appice on that one track, the last track on the first side, I think it was. Bruce Kulick's brother Bob played on that too, didn't he?
Yeah, Bruce's brother Bob was originally very close to joining Kiss. He was auditioning when Ace walked in, matter of fact. And Bob is a tremendous guitar player, and it's very funny that his brother winds up in the band, and especially because Bob taught Bruce, and Bruce, I think, has just taken it, steps beyond.
Yeah, Bob has actually done some studio stuff with you guys, hasn't he?
Yeah, there were times where Ace was too drunk to play, to put it as straightforward as possible, and there were times where Ace, for whatever reason or another, just wasn't there, and the album needed to be done, and if there's something more important to you than doing the music, then somebody else should come in and help out. So Bob helped out on some of the, I think on Alive 2, on most of the studio stuff. That's Bob playing leads.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you about two of my favorite tracks from your solo album. First, Tonight You Belong to Me. Can you tell us a little bit about how that song came together?
Yeah. Tonight You Belong to Me, I was doing all the demos for the album. And incidentally, the album is the demos. I mean, I never wound up re-recording them. I tried, and I just didn't think they were capturing it. So what happened was I was writing the tunes for the album, and I wanted to write another song, and I was having a little bit of problem. So I booked studio time for the following day, knowing I had nothing to record. And that alone gave me a major headache, and I just kind of locked myself in the house and just kept at it. And by the time I had to be in the studio, Tonight You Belong to Me was done. And that was one of those songs. I like songs that somehow start off with acoustic parts and quietly, and then, tear your head off. So Tonight You Belong to Me was one of those songs, and it was one of the few actual autobiographical songs. I mean, truly. A lot of stuff on my solo album was stuff that was going on in my life at that time, so it was very interesting. I mean, even now to listen back to it, because I go, oh, I know who that is. I remember, I know who she is.
So you're just breaking up a relationship at the time, or it was being done?
Yeah, actually, I think I was involved with somebody who was seeing me and somebody else, and it was like a constant soap opera that went off and on for about a year, and I think at that point she was saying she was going to go back to that guy. Ultimately, she came back to me, and ultimately I told her, see ya.
Ah, so there is revenge after all.
Yeah, revenge is sweet.
Exactly. As you've done through most of the years, Paul, I think you've really demonstrated a great ear for ballads. Did that start with Hold Me, Touch Me from the solo album?
That was probably the first that I did that I thought was really good. I like ballads. I don't like warmed over rock tracks that sell themselves as ballads.
What we call power ballads.
Yeah, they actually, they should be called powder ballads, because there used to be an expression, take a powder, which means go to sleep. So to me, they're boring. I mean, power ballads to me most of the time are up-tempo songs that somebody slows down, and instead of singing about, screwing somebody, you're singing about how you got screwed. But it's I don't know. It's not my thing. I mean, a ballad should really hold up on an acoustic guitar, and that's what I try to go for when I write a ballad. Around Christmas, I guess we'll be hearing "Every Time I Look at You" on the radio, because that'll be released probably around then, and that's to me like a perfect example of writing a ballad like for revenge that was written on an acoustic guitar, and it didn't take didn't take a synthesizer, and it didn't take a big set of drums. It's a song that sounds great if you sit down with an acoustic guitar.
I'm just going to ask you one more question about the old days. What happened exactly with Ace and Peter? Can you give us an idea about what was going on that led to them being fired from the band? As I think you referred to before, Ace's attitude had been a problem for some time, hadn't it?
Well, yeah, people I think succumb sometimes to their worst, vices and excesses when they're given a chance, and sometimes fame and success does that to you. Peter was in no uncertain terms asked to leave the band. I mean, he was fired. He was shown the door by Ace and Gene and myself because he was not playing well. He had problems of all sorts of nature, and I think he wanted to go home and be with his wife. And to be honest with you, I think had he not been dumped from the band, he'd probably be dead now. And he might probably, if he was honest, and I hope he would be, he'd probably admit it. I mean, he was his own worst enemy. But when somebody's drowning, you try to help them, but you don't let them drown you with them. And the band certainly wasn't going to allow that. And he was becoming an embarrassment and a real drag.
How about Ace?
Ace, I think, ultimately felt that, and incidentally, Peter, because of probably some of the things that he was doing to himself and ingesting, thought that the band was holding him back and that he was the talent in the band, which is what he told me. And so it really became go out and become the star that you were meant to be. And I wish he were right, but we're still waiting for that album or whatever.
Yeah, well, he's done some interesting stuff. I guess probably being a Kiss fan and being a fan of Ace's sound, I've liked some of.
Oh no, I was talking about Peter.
Oh, Peter.
Sure.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were on to Ace now.
Oh, with Ace, what happened was I think ultimately he wanted more songs on the albums, which really isn't a good enough reason to have a song on an album. Because you want something doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best thing to do. And when you get into a situation where people want even amounts of songs on albums, the people who could ultimately suffer are the fans, because what the fans may like about an album is the songs and the quality of the songs. And when you start compromising what the best songs are just to make sure that everybody has a certain amount, you're in trouble. We don't do that. I mean, Gene and I don't do it. There's been albums where Gene had 3 songs on the album, or there may be 6 of one and 4 of another, or 5 and 5. That's not something that should be an issue, but Ace felt that he wanted more input, and that was a problem, and I don't think at that point he liked the music that we were fooling around with, and also he had some serious problems, some serious. As a person who's trying to be tactic, have a certain amount of tact. I'm talking about excesses and abuses, and I think they're all well documented. And between the two of them, they were killing themselves, and that's fine. But don't bring me down with you, and don't sell the fans short. And ultimately, it made sense. I mean, Ace wanted to leave, and at first I asked him to stay, and I remember driving to his house like an hour to spend the day with him and try to convince him not to. But it was right that he left. He wasn't into it, and he wasn't growing musically. I mean, his ability and Peter's ability, to be quite honest, stopped. It didn't grow, and this I think music is always about getting better and trying to be better. But drinking and drugs and personal problems and all kinds of things can make that pretty difficult.
Well, their lack of growth, I think, kind of relates to when you guys took off the makeup, in that if Peter and Ace had stayed in the band and not been growing, you guys Makeup or No would have turned into a parody of yourselves.
Well, I think so. At some point, it's put up or shut up. I mean, at some point, we were never concerned with what people thought about us, whether or not we were good musicians or any of that stuff. But at some point, when the makeup came off, it was going to come down to, music. And I got to say that towards the end of both of those guys, they were selling the fans cheap, and they were showing no respect for Kiss or for themselves.
The early 80s must have been pretty traumatic for Kiss, losing two of the original members and going through guitarist after guitarist. Was the band ever in danger of extinction at that time?
Well, not really. It's funny because people would always talk to us about that stuff, and neither of us, and when Eric joined, he certainly had no thoughts of throwing in the towel. I mean, we did what we loved doing, and we're going to continue it. There was the only thing that was traumatic, the most traumatic, was throwing Peter out, because up until then we believed that Kiss was the four of us, but that was always based on the notion that the four of us would always be giving to the band 100% and doing our share. But we never thought about what happens if one guy starts goofing off or one guy doesn't want to work anymore. So once we saw with Peter leaving and with Eric coming in that the band could actually be better, because Eric Carr was a gem and just a tremendous drummer and one of the most devoted people to his fans and to the band that you could ever hope to meet. So we had no thoughts of breaking up. Then it was just a matter of finding the right guitar player. And, we had one or two false starts. Really only one. I mean, Vinnie Vincent was a big mistake. A big, big mistake. At times there's probably other musicians who'd say the same thing.
I know Dana Strum and Mark Slaughter would probably say something similar.
When Vinnie first was booted out of the band, and again, he was booted out because he was trying to take advantage of us, and he was also doing some very uncool things with fans. So, but all of a sudden, when you would read interviews, it was what a lousy bunch of guys we were, and this and that. It's real funny, but all of a sudden there's other people saying the same thing about him again. So, so he was a big mistake, and everyone's entitled to that. Then Mark St. John joined, and unfortunately, by the time we finished Animalize with him, he had an illness that just made it impossible for him to forget about playing the guitar. He couldn't even close his hand. So, he could barely walk for a while. So
that's when Bruce was brought into the band.
And Bruce came in, and Bruce has been in the band 6 years now? I don't know, 7 years? Something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
And it's real interesting. Bruce was always a good guitar player, but Bruce has suddenly come into his own. I mean, Bruce is playing awesomely. I mean, what he did on Revenge was like going from Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde. I mean, the guy is playing like a maniac.
Yeah, he plays some pretty wild stuff on the new album.
Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden, I think he realized where rock and roll emanates from. It's your head, but not the one on your shoulders.
Yeah, exactly. Despite what Gene has said in the press in recent months, I really don't think Kiss was ever that far from home during the 80s. How do you see the decade in general for the band?
Well, to be as fair as I can be, Gene was way off base. I mean, if you spent part of your 10-year period, doing what he was doing, I mean, I certainly wasn't making films in a girdle, dressed as a woman. So I think those are things he has to contend with, and maybe part of his way of dealing with it initially was to say, Kiss was like lost for 10 years. It's real funny because I knew exactly where the band was. It was Gene that we were all wondering where he was. So I think he realizes that at this point. I mean, there was some really good stuff being done without him, but the band is always better with him. But I think it's safe to say that, he got involved with some bands that embarrassing, and did some other things that may not be the wisest things. So, I think the difference is not we found our balls again, but he found his balls again, and I think he'd be the first to admit that. I think that the last 10 years have been really cool. At times, I felt like I was bailing water all the time from a ship that had a hole in it, and there was nobody else there to help. But it all worked out. There were some great things. Heaven's on Fire, cool song. Tears Are Falling. There's a lot of really good stuff that's come out of this period. I think the best is ahead because the band feels so solid right now. The band feels now like it did when we first started. I mean, there's 4 guys in the band who are totally committed to it, and for my money, have made the best album we made since probably Love Gun or Rock and Roll Over. So everything feels real good, but as far as the last 10 years, I don't even think that, I think, the quote was a little out of context because I think what Gene was saying was, it was part of a whole thing of ranting and raving by him about how the last 10 years, were this and that and the other thing. And it's really more about Gene. I mean, quite honestly, the band will stand by everything we've done. But there's a couple of things he's done that I still got to scratch my head about.
Well, perhaps like The Elder was something that Kiss had to get out of its system. Maybe all the stuff that Gene went through is something he had to get out of his system to be who he is today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if he needed to go through that stuff to get to where he is now, then fine. I can honestly say that he's in this 100% and doing great stuff and working his ass off, which is the way it's supposed to be. He more than ever realizes that there's nothing better than this.
Well, just from listening to the album, that much is very clear without him or you or anybody even saying it.
Well, I think that's the case.
Bob Ezrin brought in to produce Revenge. Was that a difficult choice? After all, he is responsible for what are arguably both Kiss's best and worst moments.
Oh, no, he was the perfect guy if we were going to use somebody, providing we were getting to work with Bob Ezrin, who did Destroyer, not Bob Ezrin that did The Elder. If we were going to be working with Bob Ezrin that did The Elder, we wouldn't have done the album because we're Kiss that did Destroyer. We're far from the Kiss that did The Elder. So it was great. It was a great team. We worked great together, worked real hard, and came up with something great. I mean, the 4 of us worked 5 of us actually. What I mean is the band plus Bob.
Yeah. Eric Singer, who of course has played with Alice Cooper, Badlands, and Sabbath, as well as in your solo band a couple of years back, is now behind the kit for Kiss. Was he your first and only choice to replace Eric Carr when it became clear he wouldn't be able to work with the band in the studio?
Well, Eric Singer originally came in to help us cut tracks and to wait to see, obviously what was going to happen with Eric Carr, because Eric Carr was the drummer in the band. And although he was really, I guess, fatally ill, we didn't want to believe it, and you always believe that things are going to get better. Although anybody with any knowledge was kind of telling us that wasn't the case. But, we wanted to do the album, and Eric stayed a member of the band, although he couldn't really participate. And we brought in a couple of different drummers to see who would work best, but Eric Singer was always our first choice to help us. He did God Gave Rock and Roll to You, and then he had to go do some other work that he was committed to doing, but he was the one we always wanted to have work with us.
That was the song that you tested the waters with Ezrin again, too, to see if it would work?
Right.
Okay. I have to say congratulations on what I and a lot of your fans that I've talked to and people in general say is your hottest album since Lick It Up, and all 4 of you, or 5, I guess, if you include Bob, must have smiles a mile wide about this one.
Oh, we feel real good. We feel real good, and we can't wait to hit the road.
Revenge is the album that Kiss has needed for quite a while. What brought it out now? How come this didn't come out instead of Hot in the Shade, say, for instance?
Well, I think Hot in the Shade was our first attempt to get to where we are now. It's kind of like we thought we were home when we did Hot in the Shade, when actually we were still a few miles away, but we were in the right direction. And Revenge was just, Revenge really was, after we did Hot in the Shade and after we did the tour, we just realized that we needed to up the ante. We needed to work harder, and that to make an album like Revenge was maybe not going to be easy, but was going to be well worth the effort, because Kiss has to live up to its past. I mean, we can't live on what we've done in the past. We have to live up to it.
Knowing the situation with Vinnie Vincent when he was kicked out, I talked to Gene a couple of years ago, and he kind of filled in the blanks for me. It was kind of a shock to find out that he was writing with you again. How did that exactly come to pass, and how did it go?
It was fine. The truth is, Vinnie has stuck the knife in his own back so many times that, it's, or so it seems to me,
Does he realize this?
I don't know, I really don't know. I think sometimes people just don't want to accept responsibility for their own situation. But in any case, there was no need to turn that knife. So I'm not interested, certainly, in playing in a band with him or anything like that. But if we could write some songs that were going to be great, then the fans benefit, and we'd have a better album. So that's really how it happened. I mean, it's not any deeper than that. I don't. I don't hate the guy or anything. I just don't want to really get too involved with him. But if we can write songs, that's fine.
In the studio with Revenge, and I guess generally speaking, with how you and Bruce work together, how do you guys decide who plays what? I know Bruce would play all the leads, but do you do most of the rhythm tracks?
Well, the bed tracks, whatever rhythm parts there are always going to be built on my guitar, because for some reason I just feel, I guess maybe I've been in the band longer, but there's a certain feel to the songs that if Bruce plays before I do, or if Bruce kind of like leads rhythmically, it doesn't sound right. And we've seen it happen before. During Revenge, I got sick for 2 weeks with the flu, and they kept working and doing guitars without me. When I came in, I listened, I said, this is horrible. And they all listened and said, yeah. I mean, it didn't sound right. And when I put my guitar on, I couldn't mesh with what was already there. So we took everything off, put my guitar on, and then everybody played to that, and it sounded like Kiss.
Where did you record, and roughly how long did it take you to lay the album down?
I really don't know how long it took, probably about 3 months. And it was all over L.A. in different studios. John, just as an aside, I'm going to have to call it quits in about a minute, because we've gone about 45 minutes, and I've got another call waiting.
Okay. I'm just going to ask you about a couple of tracks on the album and get you to do some IDs, and then I'll let you
Sure.
go. Okay, I Just Wanna is one of the tracks that you wrote with Vinnie. Can you tell us about that song?
I Just Wanna is, I don't know, it's a cool up-tempo song, and there's a lot of classic old kind of like blues and rock and roll stuff that has a verse where the singing kind of happens without anything underneath it, and then everything comes in, whether it's, oh God, there's so many old blues tracks, but then even more recently, things like Black Dog or Summertime Blues or anything like that. It's an old way of working where everything stops, you sing, and then the guitars come in again. So it's just a cool song with a good chorus, and the middle section is kind of psychedelic, man.
The whole album has got a real classic grungy feel to it, which I think is great.
Yeah, I agree.
Just one more song I'll ask you about. I referred earlier to your ear and talent for ballads, and you come up with a great one. And every time I look at you, can you tell us a little bit about this one and what inspired it and how you arranged it, that sort of thing?
Every Time I Look at You is a song that was written on my Guild acoustic guitar, and it's I guess like a real honest kind of ballad, probably closer to Wild Horses or that kind of thing, like a Stones ballad, than it is to some of the slop that you hear on the radio usually. song about screwing up and getting scared, and then looking at somebody and thinking, when you see that person, it's like good medicine. Makes everything okay.
Cool. Now, just going to get you to do some station IDs, and then we're off.
Sure.
Okay. First off, this is Paul Stanley from KISS. You're listening to, or you're rocking with Big John K on Classic Hits K97.
Okay.
Anytime you're ready.
Hey, what's happening? This is Paul Stanley of KISS, and you're rocking and rolling with Big John K on Classic Hits K97.
Okay, and could you do one for Mike Mattis?
Sure. What's happening, people? This is Paul Stanley KISS, and you are rocking, you are rolling with Mike Mattis on K97 Classic Hits.
Cool. Thanks a lot for your time. I'm sorry I took...
Was recently immortalized on their own very. Let me take it from the top.
You know, guys, Stevens and Pruitt, this is for both of you. Less crack. That's the answer.
Yeah,
This sounds like a law firm.
Where am I gonna-
Stevens and
look.
Pruitt, come on.
Where am I going to put my thing if I don't have any crack? Come on.
Now again, exactly who are we talking to?
This is Gene.
That's a good one.
This is Gene Simmons.
All right. KISS was immortalized recently with their very own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Yeah.
And
You can buy that, man.
Yeah.
You
As a
can
matter
buy
of
that.
fact, the people that don't know
Actually,
stuff
you
say
can't
stuff like
buy
that. You cannot.
You can't.
There was
What
a
hap-
time. There was a time when you could. Maybe they don't sell them anymore, but they
I
used
know,
to.
but if you listen, you will learn. Now, here's how it goes.
Okay, I'm listening. Gee,
That's right. Be
I
a
wish
good
I could
student.
get on your knee and you could just, talk to me.
No, we have to wait until we're in jail for that. Okay, so here's how it goes.
Wait a minute. Have we been in jail together?
No, but I still have to tell you the stuff so you'll know.
Okay, go ahead.
And it goes like this. The Chamber of Commerce votes annually on who's going to be at the Hollywood Star Walk of Fame.
Sure, that's
Having
what-
said that, once they vote somebody in,
Yeah.
they still have to get the money from somebody, not from us, I believe New Line, to actually pour the cement, do the
Yeah,
thing, get
yeah.
the star, so whatever that amount is going to be, somebody's got to pay the city to get the permit, to put the thing, the concrete and stuff. You don't get it for nothing in life is free, nor is water.
Or if you have a rich, oil-rich friend in Texas by the name of Sid Bass, he can do it for you. Believe me, he did it for me.
Well,
I used to have a star on the Walk of Fame, and I think they dug it up, made a parking lot there or something now. I don't know.
It was expendable. They had that expendable section.
Yeah.
But you say, Gene, that nothing is free. The truth is you haven't met that waitress at Denny's down the street.
As a matter of fact, she speaks very highly of you.
Thank you. Well,
You're certainly welcome. I've heard you're a powerful and attractive man. Is it true? Is it true, in fact, that you guys do this show, both of you, nude?
Not all the way. I usually wear a cup and a strap.
I always wear a half slip in those little flappy shoes.
Yeah, and he looks delicious too. I want to tell you.
Which one of you wears the low cut number?
That's Jim Pruitt.
Jim, I'm a little heavier guy on the show.
I like heavy.
Well,
Do you? Yeah.
Well, you know that he ain't heavy. He's not my brother.
Gene has two prerequisites,
You're
alive
not-
and breathing.
He not heavy. He my partner.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, I'm a C cup. Okay.
So speaking of potato chips, Detroit Rock City comes out tomorrow nationwide. New Line Cinema.
So that's what the hell you're doing on the show. You want to promote your movie. When's it open here in Houston?
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Nationwide. Detroit Rock City.
No kidding.
Detroit
And
Rock
Line
City.
Cinema.
So we're part of the nation now, huh?
Yeah.
You,
Texas has joined the nation?
Yes,
You know,
we are.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Houston, we do not have a problem. Detroit
Yeah.
Rock City is opening nationwide, and contrary to what some people might think about Detroit Rock City, it's less a KISS concert film and more a story about four fans in the 70s
Yeah.
who get on the yellow brick road off to see KISS in Detroit Rock City. That's
So
what
do
it's
you-
really about.
Do you guys perform in the movie?
Yeah, for
At the end.
yeah.
At the end.
Whereas valid in Detroit Rock City as the Wizard is in The Wizard of Oz.
Now, do we just get a piece of music, or do we get an actual 2 or 3 cuts?
Well, the soundtrack album, which just came out on
Mercury.
We're door-to-door salesmen here.
Yeah.
Which just came out on Mercury, which features Van Halen, Black Sabbath, Pantera, Ted Nugent, Everclear, Marilyn Manson, and Kiss.
Yeah, but are there any stars?
In the sky.
Okay.
Okay, now back to
Now,
Detroit.
wait a minute, let's get to the good stuff. Any bare breasts in the movie?
Yes, mine are out right now.
Simmons. Oh,
No, this is about teenagers in search of getting a chance to go to the KISS
Teenage,
concert.
there's nothing wrong with Britney
Somebody
Spears.
loses their virginity in a confessional booth.
Ah,
believe it or not.
good.
Yeah,
good.
then we have a young kid in a kind of a Chippendales amateur night contest stripping for older women because
There
he's
you
got to get
go.
enough money to get to.
This is going to be a great
It's actually Edward Furlong from Terminator 2.
That's right. It's actually an R-rated film, so we wanted to make sure that the R was a stiff R, just to make sure that people didn't...
Not a limp R, a stiff R.
No flaccid R's here.
Yeah,
You mean there's a pirate segment? Stiff R.
Stop it.
I love, we're on the Gulf Coast. I love that pirate stuff.
Yeah.
Now, back to the movie.
So does Paul's son.
Yeah. Are there any, like, you guys are really cutting it up here. Is there any nudity?
We're
seriously?
cutting it up. You should hear you guys.
What the hell are you guys? Are you in L.A.? Where are you guys?
We're in New York City, right?
Okay. So,
You see, you got $1 gazillion. You can afford to jack with anybody you want. And I go to the movies all the time. I can't wait to see it. I've seen the trailer a few times. See, when I saw Dick. Did you see Dick?
Excuse me?
I see him every day.
I've never seen someone just sit there with his mouth. What do you mean, did I see Dick?
The movie Dick about Richard Nixon.
I've got my hand on one now. What do you mean, did I see
No,
it?
I thought you meant as in you haven't done anything. You've done Dick.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Jack. We haven't done Jack.
Oh, Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Detroit Rock City, is there any nudity whatsoever, and is it truly rated R?
Yes.
It is a true R. There is some nudity, but it's less about that and more a kind of a you and me against the world vibe.
Is there a lot
what it's about.
Is there a lot of bad words?
Yes.
Yes.
Good, cool.
Yeah.
There are bad words. There's loud music.
Yeah.
There are big-breasted women lifted and separated and pointed in our general direction.
Oh,
yes.
right. Yes. Yeah.
Now, Tito, Tito Smallberry's our producer here.
How you doing, guys?
That's his name.
Well, listen to the voice. You can tell
Listen to him.
He used to be in Castrati.
Yes. He was a castrati for a long time, and then we had some balls drafted on him, and
balls.
Right under the bottom of his feet.
Yeah. And he almost has a voice now. What'd you want to say, Tito?
Well,
Did you want to talk
I'm
to these guys?
a big Kiss fan there, Gene and Ace. I just want to know, is it anything like Kiss Meets the Phantom?
No.
Thank God.
Well, it is, and it is, and it isn't. They're both comedies, but this one isn't.
Yeah, but one is supposed to be, one is not supposed to be. Yeah,
you looked that. You took the words right out of my ass. And so
hey,
that's how those rumors get started, man.
That's what happened to my nose. Yeah, okay.
We'll save the gerbils for later.
you guys are both very ill human beings. It's important to note that.
Yeah.
So you're right. The answer to the question, and I don't care what the question is, Detroit Rock City is in fact coming out tomorrow nationwide.
Yeah.
And you guys have to go because my mom wants another house.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And a new boat.
What about Monday Night Nitro?
That's right. Monday Night Nitro is going to be on the 23rd of this month. We're going to be in Las Vegas to debut The Demon, which is going to be the first, believe it or not, Kiss wrestler. And this guy's going to come out, blow fire out of his ass, and beat everybody up.
We've been trying to find a guy that we met at the Montreal Comedy Festival that shot rockets out of his ass. This isn't the same guy, is he? Hello?
You know what? I wouldn't think so, because this guy's not going to be very funny. He's going to get out there and, do some serious damage.
Does he have the Kiss makeup on?
Oh, yeah. That's the idea. The idea is...
And the armor?
Modeled after Gene's makeup, I think.
Yeah.
All right.
But this guy we're talking about was not funny, but he did a funny thing. He got up there. He was really bad with his stand-up, but at the end, just to make sure that you remembered him, he would actually stick a bottle rocket in his ass, light it, and fire the son of a bitch. And we've been wanting to get him on the show. I know it's not great on radio, but I just want to see it again.
Did he make friends that night?
Oh, boy, did he.
I don't know, but, nobody remembers his name. It's just that dude with the rockets in his butt. You know?
Yeah.
Which is an amazing thing, and I think you probably only get to do that once, and then you have to have that grafting operation.
Well, if it's sort of shooting out of his butt, that's okay.
Yes,
I think
you're right.
you only get to do it once if it shoots in.
Listen, if you have a leather sphincter, anything can happen for you. It's
I would
part
say
of show business.
Use a toilet paper tube or something, for safety.
Or don't wipe and just let it crust off.
Now, let's cut through the Detroit Rock City opens tomorrow or today in Houston, and because that's when we'll be playing the interview.
Friday the 13th.
Oh, now you gave it away. It's pre-recorded. They'll never buy it now.
Okay. Well,
the important thing
cut
is,
it out.
and everybody wants to know, Gene Simmons, we've had you on the air. We've talked briefly about it before.
Yeah.
And Houston wants to know about your tongue.
Right.
Now, is
It's
that
available for bar mitzvahs, weddings, catatonic fits, anything.
Yeah, you wave that tongue, during the...
Do you dry your underwear by hanging it on your tongue, Gene? Do you ever do that?
No, I dry your underwear.
No. Look, we hardly know each other, but I'm interested.
It's never too late.
Yeah.
So, Gene, is the tongue genetic or the result of heavy exercise, tongue exercises?
When I was born, the doctor pulled me out by the wrong appendix.
No kidding.
Pulled you out by the
so
tongue.
now I'm hung like a 2-year-old, but
But you have a tongue.
but I do have a tongue.
Now,
see, God giveth, God taketh away.
So we find out that genetically that tongue is particularly handed down generation upon generation. Do you have any
it's really, I have to say, though, even though it's long and all this stuff, it's really not about that.
I know it is.
The appeal to it, I'm told, is that it's got a spin and dry cycle.
No kidding.
Really?
Curb feelers, too, right?
It's, it's...
You're spending too much time alone in your mansion, Gene.
It grips the road.
Now, Gene, seriously, now the next question
It's sort of like Velcro.
Yeah.
If it is genetic, do you have a sister that has the same tongue?
Yes.
I haven't met her yet, but I've been trying every day.
This is useless.
Are you my sister?
No.
Oh, well.
Listen, we could be. It's possible. What the hell? It's show business. We go for anything, Yes.
Detroit Rock City with Kiss. It opens today. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys. Remember, the medication is on the way.
KLOL Houston.
Classic Rock, 93.7 The Arrow, Houston's only classic rock station. It's Kiss, Detroit Rock City at 642.
Oh, that sounded good. And now joining us and in town tonight at the Woodlands from Kiss, it's Gene Simmons.
Gene, I was just on the Kiss website.
Yeah.
That's pretty extensive, that website you guys have got.
Well, you know what?
What?
Kiss fans are ravenous, and that's a big word like gymnasium.
It is. They don't mean the same thing.
No, they don't, but they have a lot of letters.
They go crazy. There's something about a Kiss fan. First of all, they want to own all the Kiss stuff, and there's a lot of that to own. But when the show comes through, they all show up and they're all painted and everything. That's got to be a kick for you guys.
You know what's really weird is that the people that come to see our shows completely defies all logic. Because if you go to see a country and western show, people tend to wear cowboy hats. If you go to see a rap show, everybody looks like a criminal.
Yes.
And I mean that in the nicest way.
Right.
There seems to be a sense an audience sort of looks like the band they go to see. But when you go to our shows, you get the wonderfully healthy strippers in the front, lifting and separating them, pointing them in my general direction. Thank you, Jesus. You get guys in suits and ties. You get dads bringing their kids. I mean, it just defies. And you got the young punkers, 15-year-olds who still have snot rolling out of their noses, who, are there because they're getting something else out of it. Kiss seems to be different things to different people.
And it's lasted. It's really lasted.
Well, more than that. It's a magazine called Billboard that keeps tracks of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And they told us recently we're right behind the Beatles in the number of gold records by any groups in history.
Wow.
So that doesn't suck. And my mother wants another house, she just reminded me.
I still remember, because of course, I'm like a lot of the people in our audience, I broke my teeth on your albums. That very first album was Strutter. And,
Cut your teeth.
Well, I broke my teeth. We were partying a little bit, I gotta admit. And what was it, Firehouse? And that's still like one of my favorite albums. Do you guys do any of that stuff on your show?
We do everything because, as you know, if we don't do what the fans want us to do, they string us up.
Right.
Close to 30 years of music from the first record all the way to the last record.
It's like 30 albums, right?
Well, it
Actually,
is.
33.
33.
It is. Well, that's makes for a long show, but I'm sure it'll be enjoyable.
We try to pick and choose the stuff, and every once in a while we move the material around. But, everybody should really sort of rest up before they come to the show because you get Skid Row, and then Ted's going to really warm you up, and then we'll come out and show you how the big boys do it. There's more power on that stage than most third world countries, and any girl who's worried about gaining a few pounds, not to worry, we're going to shake it right off you within 1,000 yards of that stage.
Well, we just talked with Ted Nugent. He won't be on the bill here in Houston because of his flap with the some remarks he made before in the city.
Well, it's interesting because I'm sure he's going to try to test it in the courts. I don't think he's going to be able to do anything about it when we get on there. But, whether I agree with his politics or not is not the idea. The idea is you should be able to say whatever you damn well please on stage, even if it's incendiary. I mean, the only thing you shouldn't be able to say is fire so that people run and trample all of each other. But free speech, notwithstanding, it should stop right before the word fire. And I don't agree with what Ted has to say, you know, politically, but he and I get along terrifically. I mean, the guy gets up there and, you know, has a take no prisoners attitude about the guitar playing and stuff, and that's what I'm about. I don't have to agree with everything you say.
I'm getting a little tear here.
You guys have to keep your hands off each other.
That's how we work. I'm sorry. We can't change now.
You know.
Right. Well,
just
we're
because you work together doesn't mean you have to swap spit. It's an issue.
No, you touched something deep inside me, Gene Simmons.
Never
with
went
that.
there.
No, you did. Just a
Well, if
moment
we were
ago.
in jail, perhaps.
Well, we're looking forward to the show, certainly, and as we cross the boundary into the new millennium, where will KISS take us, Gene Simmons?
This is the last tour.
The final last tour?
Yeah, it really is. You know, everybody thinks that it's just a kind of a ploy, and because other bands have played that game. We don't play anything. We say what we mean, and we mean what we say. We would rather quit on top. You know, this is well on its way to becoming the next #1 tour. You know, we decided to simply go out and play every corner of America, 120 cities, one last time, get up on that stage, hold our head up high, and thank the bosses, thank the people who put us here in the first place. And, you know, we don't want to be playing one day longer than when we feel it's valid. And if I was playing in the Tom Petty Band, which is a fine musical unit, you know, you'd never break a sweat. You could simply strum your guitar and play until you're 100. But because of the physical nature of what we do, we can't keep doing this forever, and we'd rather quit while we're still looking good, playing good, and
before your hips break.
That's right. Yeah, you try walking around an 8-inch platform.
I know.
You know, with studs and leather and additional 45 pounds of stuff on your shoulders, and then they shoot you up to the top of the light system 60 feet above the ground at 8 feet a second. You have to shoot fire out of every orifice in your body. I mean, it's, you know.
I do that some mornings.
Not intentionally.
Privately or publicly?
Depends on what I've had to eat. Well,
if you do it publicly, you should charge.
All right, we look forward to the show tonight at the Woodlands. Gene Simmons, it's an honor to talk to you, and keep on rock and rolling every night and partying every day.
Thanks so much, and you guys keep your hands off each other.
Dean and Raj on Classic Rock 93.7, The Arrow.